Bon voyage, Paul. Welcome
Good
to
voyage, right?
welcome to episode 6, Zero Friends Again. I know the feeling. Uh, the uh,
Oh,
the let's move my camera as well. Let's sort of cameras out. Uh, Another exciting episode of the Scaling Crew this week. Directed by an old friend of Star Wars, Bryce Dallas Howard. Although I think the last episode of Star Wars I saw directed from her was the Jack Black Mandalorian episode, if I do recall. So, yeah, hesitations maybe going into this episode. But
it's a mixed bag.
the we can pull up my little slideshow here. And because Skeleton Crew kicked off quick this episode, 'cause obviously we finished last week with Jod picking up the lightsaber and the kids falling through the trapdoor in the floor.
Yep.
And they ended up doing a little bit of a, if you're watching ITV2 here, or ITV, I think it was, in the UK, the Goonies, you would have seen a familiar little scene of them going down the tunnels, sliding down the
It was
tunnels.
it
Um,
was such a homage to that, wasn't it? It
it
really
was.
was.
Um, it was almost too much. It's got a little bit to the point. It's starting to get a little bit cheesy. But they came out the tower, out of the tunnels, out of basically vents into the outside of the planet, which for me is not the most secure way to lock down your secret lair, is to have
No.
giant tubes on the outside of the hill that people could climb up and go, I wonder what's at the top of that tube. But yeah. And the episode started with a little bit of a tale of KB was a little bit of the focus this episode.
Yeah.
She wasn't too well when she came out out of the tube. Apparently our Oggs were not in good shape.
They were corroded, apparently, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're on a salty water planet. Fern was a little bit familiar with this. So this is obviously the illness that the mothers had been talking about. And it was kind of revealed in this episode. She's a little bit more cyborg than I kind of thought.
Yeah.
I kind of thought she was just liked her gadgets.
Yeah. I thought it was more of a gadget thing, and just the fact that because when the eye visor isn't covering her eyes, she seems to be able to see and focus and everything through them. So I thought it was just an enhancement rather than a replacement. But yeah, she, like you say, she turned out to be more cybernetic than we perhaps initially thought.
We'll see later in the episode that she was more. She had a little bit of a lobotomy. See what I did there?
Oh, but very good, very
Oh,
good.
geez. I've been waiting all week to use that one.
People think he's just thrown together, Brian.
I know. um, Emphasizing how lack of security the secret lair had. Um, uh, Jod, when he was escaping from the secret lair, came out of a manhole right on the landing pad where the ships all land.
Looking like Mr. T.
Like looking like Mr. T. And who did he meet there? But all the pirates that we heard screaming when they get dosed in acid. Every
Yeah.
single one of them.
Will they ever explain how they escaped that?
No.
No.
We also got lots of alien characters as well. Many of them familiar from The Last Jedi.
Yeah, there's a lot of Canterbite type characters there, isn't there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that lady, she seems to do nothing be in planets that hung about spas basically all the time, from memory. But Jod's there and he's confronted by all the pirates and basically captured along with SM-33. And just to prove that they're all there. Our favourite Glaswegian as well. And it appears that the hotel resort has called in the Republic because the X-Wings turn up and chase down the pirates.
The good guys.
Yeah, what the kids refer to as the good guys, which shows you just a short-term exposure to that galaxy corrupts the mind. It really does. Shocking.
Stop it with your imperial entanglement.
Well, here's Wim calling them the good guys when 2 episodes ago he was doing his best to kill them. And he was
That's
shooting
true.
at them, you
That
know? Just just shows you terrible. Um, and at this point, KB has a little bit of a not a tantrum or a huff, but decides that she's kind of had enough. Has her little confrontation with Fern, and basically points out that she's not too happy with the way things are going and the way she's been treated, and nobody's really given consideration for her health needs.
Yeah, it was nice to see them having a little bit of a bit of a spat, because they've been sort of like put together as like a duo, if you like, and then we've got Wim and Neil as a duo. So what's about to happen in the next few slides is they sort of switch allegiances, kind of thing.
They do. First of all, Wim encounters some crabs, and they come up with alternative ideas. Wim wants to follow the crabs because he thinks that they'll lead them to safety. Fern wants to climb out up to where the ship is. Neil kind of gets caught in the middle, and Neil wants to avoid crabs at all costs. He's got an aversion to them, and Fern and KB get a spat as well. And Neil does his little sad face, which every time he does it, I just want to slap him now. He's not getting any sympathy from me. He's just like, I don't know. It's just a face you want to slap, and
It's the side parting that offends more than anything else, isn't it?
it is. And you get the little sad shots like this. Oh, look at poor Neil. But
Yeah.
Neil's the one wanting to climb up the cliff face and abandon the rest of them. Shocking.
I
Um,
know. I just thought he would have been the last one who wanted to climb. Exactly, Mark.
yeah,
Exactly. It's good advice.
that's the lesson of this week's episode. Um, Friction was very interesting. Set up some good flung conflict without them completely falling out. I did too. I thought it was. I've been calling for an episode where KB gets some acting because
Yeah.
she was very,
In a background character, really, hasn't she?
yeah, and a very kind of robotic performance to this stage, which I guess was
Well,
deliberate now.
we get it.
But basically, we end up with Fern and Neil heading off in one direction, and never leave Neil alone with females. We've learnt that. If you're a fan like me, it's Team Runa. Uh, and KB goes with Wim, and we'll see who succeeds. Um, Meanwhile, Jod, stroke Dash, stroke Crimson, stroke Captain, uh,
Whatever it was.
whatever, has been
Yeah,
taken by the
Silver,
pirates back
Silver.
to their base, and they're going to have a bit of a judgment. And if
Yeah,
it's found guilty, then he's going to go out the airlock.
nice.
And Brutus is obviously holding point over the meeting, along with Mama Fratelli from the Fratellis, famously there from the Goonies, which was what I thought immediately. It could be proven wrong. And I thought Jude Law gave a brilliant acting performance in this scene as he went through all the emotions of trying to whip up the pirates
Yeah.
into supporting him and believing in him, full of
Yeah,
passion, full of rage.
he's really thrown himself into the role,
He
hasn't he?
has. And,
Yeah,
you know, if you told me before that Jude Law was going to be playing a pirate in Star Wars, I would have told you that was a terrible casting decision.
yeah,
But he's been brilliant in it. He really has. He really has. And this, to me, shows the importance of having a very good established actor in your lead in these
yeah,
TV programs.
yeah.
And I think you saw that in Rogue One with some very established good actors in the lead roles and a cast of relatively unknowns around them.
Mhm.
Same here. I think if you've got a really high quality actor um, in that lead role, it really does protect the rest of the cast.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think because the character or characters that he's playing, it's quite a complex and demanding sort of role. Then you need somebody of his experience to do it, and he's been faultless, I think.
Is Kevin identified Mama? Is that identified Mama Fratelli? I believe is Anne Ramsey, which Mr. Newbold is saying he knows her from Orange Is the New Black. She's
Oh,
going to
right.
remain Mama Fratelli for me.
Now that actress actually passed away a long time ago.
Yes, she did. Yeah, I was when I was watching this after I was commenting about how many brilliant films from the 80s that she was in, playing
Yeah.
exactly the same character.
Yes. Yeah, she was
But
brilliant.
Jod basically, I'm going to call him Jod for some simplicity, goes round all the crew and basically tells them why they should support him. And it's when he whips out his Old Republic gold credit that he stole off the kids. Um, that's when I'm getting confused now by these comments, but I'm just going to let them carry on in the chat. I don't know what they're talking about. We'll leave them to it. um, that's what pipes up their interest and gets the support of Jod. And basically, it's agreed that they're all going to go to Atatin and they better get made rich quick. As the time has run out for Jod, and if they don't find riches on Atatin, he's going out the airlock, people, which
There it
not going
is.
to be good. Um, um, Meanwhile, back in the beautiful spa world, they've got a big dump basically where they're dumping all their trash, and that is where KB and Wim and the crabs are heading. And KB suddenly gets ill, whilst Fern and Neil are climbing up to the ship. And KB basically tells Wim the story about her health issues, and we discover that she's a little bit more cyborg than anyone has probably
Yeah.
thought, I
I
think.
thought I thought she acted that part really well.
She did. It was a really good scene, and I was kind of glad she got that scene to really show her um, acting credentials. They're now coming out with Wikipedia links in the comments, people. I've got no idea. I've created an argument. We're just going to stick with Mama Fratelli. Uh, but we get some nice 1970s dot matrix printer parts coming out the
There's your
back of her head.
motherboard.
um, and Wim gets a chance to be a little bit of a hero, which is kind of what his character needed as well. A little bit of a constant confidence boost by doing something well. And he makes a little component for going in the back of her head, with her obviously giving the instructions, which brings her back to full health, which is always nice to see. And Wim gets a little bit of a hey, look what I did kind of moment. That's one thing I'm liking about this series is that all the characters are getting a little bit of room to develop a little.
Yeah, yeah. I think also all the child actors, they've all been really good. It's not been like a weak one among them, I don't think.
Yeah. Um, Kevin making a comment. Wait until they find out the real treasure on that, and it's love, family, and friendship. I think that when Neil turns up back home, his little brother's going to stomp on his head again, and that's what I live for. And then that's when you get the final tribute to the Goonies, when Neil ends up looking like Sloth.
I think the biggest surprise of the night has been Kevin's woke attitude. So well done, Kev.
Yeah, that's true. Meanwhile, Neil, who's been faking being frightened again, is being tied to a rope to Fern and is basically getting dragged up um, the conveniently placed ladder, which has suddenly
Yes,
appeared.
that was a spot of luck, wasn't it?
It was.
Look at look
It's
at
a
the
ladder
determination
exactly to
on
where
her
we need
face.
to be.
Yeah.
I mean, what would your choice have been? Should we climb up that ladder that takes us directly to our spacecraft, or should we follow these mystery metal crabs?
I would have been just either behind or ahead. Yes, I'd be up the ladder. Absolutely.
Yeah, I wouldn't allow Neil to be behind me. No, I don't trust him one
You
second.
see, you're still remembering the elephant on Blue Peter. That's your problem.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Um, Women KB suddenly realise that they've made a mistake. Um, and we get this beautiful stop motion crab, which is
Yeah,
half metal, half alien.
yeah.
Um, and they get a little bit of fear struck into them as they suddenly realise that the little crabs are also cornering them on the reverse as well. They've been trapped. Fern and Neil are spot they're in danger and come to the rescue. We Fern jumping onto the passing spacecraft, allowing Neil to have another attention-seeking moment. Kevin confirms that he's gone woke by watching Disney Star Wars.
Well done, Kev.
There's been one success out of it. So Kevin has been converted. And Fern takes control of the rubbish ship. I think we're going to call it. Would you call it the rubbish ship?
Yeah.
And heads out to rescue her friends who jump onto the ship. And they all manage to fly away on top of the ship. Even though the ship has this most miraculously dangerous swinging crash, they all manage to survive and jump up and hug each other without a single scratch or bruise. Yeah,
Hooray.
yeah, I've managed to get sliced down the whole side of my leg this morning by slipping on the ice. You tell me what's real.
Well done, Bry.
Yeah, thank you. And we get a little bit of emotion from KB and Fern. Although Fern's got a face on her like, oh, I don't want to be hugging this person. So I don't know what that was about.
He's
I
got as
think
much
it was.
love for droids as you.
I think it was because she was supposed to have noticed that the great big rubbish collecting machine is about to eat their ship,
Yeah.
and so they go running after it, get on board, and go through a whole sequence of what we're going to do, what we're going to do, Paul. And
It's time to sort of put all those skills in from the previous shows to get that ship out of there
yeah,
because it's been dragged into the incinerator.
Wim's initial thought is violence because he's remembering shooting the X-wings that are apparently now his heroes and his friends. Uh, Fern, she's supposed to be the captain, doesn't know what to do. KB's giving them more power. Neil's supposed to be piloting them. And it just left them with one thing to do is push the button that they must never push. It's amazing. The button that you must never push always gets pushed.
And the result?
The result was that the heavy armor hull of the Onyx Cinder kind of explodes off the ship, meaning that what the rubbish contractor compactor's attached to is actually the heavy duty hull and not the actual Onyx Cinder, which kind of bursts out of this heavy hull and as a beautiful, sleek
Yeah.
ship.
Looks loads better, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm wondering if those people that bought the Lego model have got two versions of the ship.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
It would have been very cool if they did,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I imagine they don't because it would have been spoiled by now. And Fern's got a happy smile on her face when she realizes I did something good. But
Yay.
will she come back to regret getting rid of the heavy duty hull?
No. Only time will tell.
Meanwhile, Wim's still seeking violence. And they fly away. And that is the end of this week's episode. As it appears that the pirates are going to Tatan, Paul, the kids are going, and we're all going to be in Attatin next week. You think?
All we need now is an AT-AT on AT-ATing, and we'll all be so happy, so happy.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the episode. What about yourself?
Mm, I don't know. I kind of felt I
Took me
didn't like.
two viewings to like it.
Yeah, I didn't like the beginning because it lacks logic. The whole trapdoor should be in a pit to kill them, not into an exhaust port out. Because what are you going to do when you get to the bottom of the exhaust port and land in the comfy snow? Okay, how do I get back in Rex? Um, I forget his name now. The the
Oh,
the,
S,
the
um,
oh, it's completely gone. Uh,
SM33. It's me. No.
Reynolds Lair. That's what the word I was
Oh,
looking
right.
for.
Sorry.
How do I get back in there is going to be your first thought when you get ejected from the tube.
Yeah.
So it's like a never-ending game. Okay, let's try go another way, and this time I won't pick up the fake meat.
Here's
uh,
a thought.
then why is there a trapdoor on the landing pad directly to the layer as well? That John comes out at. None of it makes sense. I hate
Don't worry
senseless
about that.
things.
These shows are 25 minutes long. If you can't apply sense to this, here's a thought for you, Brian. Did they have SM33 with them?
SM33s with the pirates.
He is, isn't
Yeah.
he? Okay.
But KB's got the AT-AT coordinates locked in her brain. That was
Yeah.
established in this episode as well.
Yeah.
So they know where they're going. The pirates know where they're going because SM33 knows where he's going.
Yeah. So it's all
So
going to happen
they're all going
in.
to meet there. Neil's dad, who looks a bit of a nasty some or another. He could be getting in a fight with them, I think.
So do you think it'll end up being like a two-part conclusion, or do you think there'll be a little bit of sort of
Feels
faffing
like it's going
around?
to be a two-part conclusion, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it does to me. I hope we don't get a filler episode on the way.
Yeah.
Um,
Kevin's
when I
waiting.
first
Kevin's waiting for the long expected character, one-eyed Will 3PO. I kind of that wouldn't surprise me either.
Well, that was a nice touch with those little crabs. One of them was carrying a protocol droid's lower leg, so that was quite cool. So maybe that's part of Will 3PO, one-eyed Will 3PO. Brilliant. Um, but no, I watched it in the early hours of New Year, and I think I put it on at 2 o'clock in the morning, and obviously maybe a little worse for wear and a bit tired. Watched it and thought, oh, another filler episode. Then I watched it again and thought, actually, this is all right. This is pretty good. So you do have to sometimes watch Star Wars content more than once to actually appreciate it for what it is. Certainly that was the
I
case with
will.
episode.
Yeah, I will heap praise on Jude Law and the young actress that plays KB, whose name is gone
Yeah,
from my mind. Um, thought they were both great in this episode.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so high praise to both of them. Um, I think we've probably seen as far as we're going to get in terms of character development now. Feels like we're
yeah.
going to get a little bit more action. Um, I wonder if there's more to Artata than it just being a bank, basically. It doesn't feel like we're going to get the in-depth kind of this is why it's all a secret. Um, Thank you, Mr.
That
Newbuild,
was
sitting there on Google. Uh, um,
that.
the it doesn't feel like we're going to
That's
get
Star Wars
a
power
deeper
to name
story.
in
I don't know
itself.
if we really need a deeper story.
No, I mean, yes, it's a mint planet, isn't it? It mints coins. So the actual prospect of it being somewhere where you could just keep reprinting your own money, for want of a better phrase, is certainly going to be something that the pirates are interested in. I think it's got potential to end on when we come to the end of the eighth and final episode, for there to be a real good cliffhanger and perhaps involving some characters that we already know.
Mr. Newbold, he's reminded he did obviously interview KB. We can find that on Father Tracks TV.
Yeah, he's always interviewing somebody.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be as massive a climactic end. than I was originally thinking. I was hoping for a more mystery and ending. I could be surprised. I would like to find out more about Captain Reynolds, and I would like to see a flashback episode as to how his ship ended
Yeah,
up in
that'd be good.
uh,
Yeah.
Atatin and how the two crew members ended up murdered. Um,
Maybe find out who the Jod Narwood actually is, because at the moment you've got about 4 or 5 different aliases. If
yeah,
you
that's
find out who
probably
that
the
was,
one element of character development left that we probably need to find out more. What is he? Who is he? Um,
well, we've got to see Jude Law wielding a lightsaber properly at some point, haven't we?
that's going to be what saves them, surely.
Yeah.
He's going to have to make a decision to go with the pirates or go with the kids.
Mm.
And that's when he whips out his lightsaber.
Why does it all sound wrong when you say it?
And then maybe Neil will come to his senses and fall back in love with Runa, Team Runa, everybody.
That's how it needs to end, isn't
That's
it?
how it needs to. If it doesn't end like that, if the people that aren't aspiring to be accountants don't get some story and conclusion, then what's it all been about? That's basically my conclusion. I think on that note, we should end this week's
Definitely.
episode um, of Bon Voyage, Paul. Before we go too
Yes.
far,
Bon voyage, Brian.
Bon Voyage. And on that note, Bon Voyage is part of Good Morning Tatooine, your weekly recap of all the latest Star Wars news, live streaming every Sunday at 9 p.m. in the UK, 4 p.m. New York, and then also released as a video on Father Tracks TV every Monday at 7 p.m.